Hello and welcome to my channel Iris Rainbow. Um, so I filmed a bunch of videos actually the other day. Um, it was July 5th, the day after 4th of July, Independence Day in the United States. And there was a shooting on Independence Day, shooting on the 4th of July in Chicago. July 5th was when the Georgia Guidestones were blown up. CERN was reactivated. There's been a lot of things going on. I haven't been super keeping up with it or keeping up with the news. I've actually kind of been laying low. I've been working a lot and not really engaging too much in social media. I actually have some messages that I've been trying to get out, but I've had quite a bit of interference. The other day I filmed a video that was about 45 minutes long, and the sound didn't work. And then I filmed some videos the other day, the day after the 4th of July, but there was a lot of interference while I was filming, and then there was interference as well in me being able to upload the videos. And so I thought that maybe I should just try again and see, what comes through. I hope that this information is able to come through today, whatever needs to come through. I'm gonna start this video with some energy clearing because there has been a lot of interference. There's a lot of psychic attack right now. There's a lot of polarization. Things are very intense. And back at the end of June, we actually had a planetary alignment where all the inner planets were lined up. So Mars, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter. And that was June 24th was the peak of that planet parade. And I believe that was also the day that Roe v. Wade was overturned. And we had quite a few shootings in the United States, pretty high profile mass shooter events, including on Independence Day. So things are very heated up right now. Things are very tense and intense. During that time period, around the 4th, we also were having Mars squaring Pluto. And so Mars being that masculine fire, kind of god of war energy, and Pluto being the underworlds and things being churned up from the deep. So, a lot of these events that we're seeing and is kind of just intense, impulsive, violent, aggressive behavior is really just, I think, symptoms of the deeper, fundamental psychological, spiritual issues that are plaguing the world in these times, and especially in the United States during this U.S. Pluto return. So, yeah, I might end up uploading a couple of these videos. It was the day after 4th of July, so there were fireworks going off, and my dog hates fireworks, so every time the fireworks went off, she would bark, and I would have to stop the video. And then I also just felt like a lot of kind of energetic interference at the time that I was filming those videos as well. And, you know, we really, post-COVID, we are re-emerging from the world, but it's not the same world that it was before. It feels like there are some things that are just fundamentally different. And, you know, one of the things for me is that I've definitely been dealing with a lot of oppositional energies. And I'm sure there are people who would say that that's because I'm being oppositional, you know, or that, you know, I must have some part to play in these things, which I do. You know, but it's one thing when you're just being yourself, and just being yourself causes problems because it's different. And then there's another thing to go around like actually trying to cause problems. And, you know, we're in a time where there are more and more queer people, there are more and more neurodivergent people, there are more and more people who are outside of the, you know, spectrum of normalcy and privilege, who are gaining more voices, or more voice, more representation in this time. And there's definitely a huge backlash against that, because you know, power seeks to preserve itself, and so people who are benefiting from unjust power structures, they're, you know, the beneficiaries are the ones who are more likely to try and uphold those things because they're receiving the benefits of that structure. And the more that people who have been historically oppressed, marginalized, invisibilized, and undermined start to take up more space in the world, that just naturally starts to upset the apple cart. That just naturally starts to upset the balance. And then you look at all of these sort of disastrous things that humanity is facing right now, these huge scandals in our government, the rate of resource extraction and pollution, you know, continuous war, continuous inflation, and people are starting to become very worn down by these conditions. And of course, you know, as times get harder, people tend to isolate more into their own groups and become more hostile to who they perceive as being different from them or being outsiders. And so the videos that I have been posting were specifically talking about adversarial and oppositional energies and the importance of those things and how to move through them, how to not take it personally, and yeah, like I feel like I've had a lot of delays with my channel. I've had a lot of you know, interference and things in my life, and I also see this happening to other people. And it seems like oftentimes it is good people who struggle the most and kind of face the most adversity in life. And it's like some of these really toxic or abusive people, because of their positions, they can continue to get away with things and continue to kind of keep their power positions intact, but at the same time it's all really rapidly deteriorating the reality that we live in. Things are starting to unravel, and things are starting to be seen for what they really are, more and more so. And so, you know, currently we have Saturn, Pluto, Neptune retrograde, Pluto being in Capricorn, 27th or 28th degree, 27, 26. Saturn is in Aquarius, and Neptune and Pisces all retrograde, all in the later degrees of the signs. I don't remember the exact degree. Masks coming off, truths being revealed with the South Node in Scorpio, secrets coming to light. This can be regarding, long-term corruption on minor and major scales. Saturn retrograde, reaping the rewards, reaping the karma for our actions. Pluto retrograde, soul lessons, deep past, deep history, excavation. And this is like also ancestral and generational karmas that we are atoning or reconciling at this time. And again, this is especially true in the United States, where the United States is also experiencing this Pluto return. So really, again, this is a time when a lot of people are struggling, a lot of people are suffering, a lot of people are perhaps, losing their position or station, or losing stability. And in times like these, in times of crisis, it really shows you who people are. It shows you who you are. It really shows us what we're made of. So there's just a really a strong need for spiritual protection at this time, and discernment. And this is especially true for the more empathic, highly sensitive, kind of healer archetype people who are trauma survivors, people who have historically been marginalized and abused. And you know who you are. If you feel like you've been experiencing some sort of psychic attack, you probably have. And I'm not trying to encourage any level of paranoia here. It's definitely important for people to, be in communication with licensed professionals when it comes to anything physical or mental health. This is, I'm not a doctor, but, psychic attack, spiritual attack, whatever, these things are very mundane. It's not necessarily like a person or a group of people secretly working against you or doing spells against you or anything like that. It literally, spiritual and psychic attack can just come about when you are someone who is different, for whatever reason that is. When you are someone who is different than your environment, you will probably have to deal with some form of psychic or spiritual attack. And that's because, what it is, what psychic attack, it's our thoughts, it's our thought forms, it's our thoughts, it's our words, it's our judgments, it's our projections, envy and jealousy and deceitfulness and fakery and all of these things are forms of psychic attack. It's not, it's not that deep. Like, it happens all the time. And I have noticed a pattern where in my life, when I'm excited about something or I have some new opportunity and I share it too early, usually things end up not working out, and some people, like, you do have real friends, you do have people that are gonna have your back and support you, but there's also people who have a more competitive mindset. There's also people who think that there's only so much to go around. There's only so much success. There's only so much money. There's only so much influence. There's only so much this, that, or the other thing. And so people will be competitive with each other. And that's another thing that can really bring out that kind of evil eye behavior, is when people are competitive versus being collaborative. You know, as a reader, as a spiritualist, or even as an artist, you know, there's a million singer-songwriters, there's a million writers, there's a million Reiki practitioners, tarot readers, astrologers, you know, whatever it is, and everyone has their own unique flavor and their own unique style and their own unique voice, their own unique perspective. And you know, when we're living in our truth and our authenticity, or you know, trying to find a way to live within our truth and our authenticity and finding our voice, you know, that might attract the attention of others, and some of that might be good and some of that might be negative. And I'm the type of person where I've never sought out attention, but I've always had a lot of attention on me, and a lot of that was very negative, you know, and a lot of that attention was very unwanted from a young age. There were a lot of instances where I was given different types of attention that I did not want, or even, you know, being forced to perform in different ways and forced to do things that I didn't want to do, and really becoming very shy and very introverted because of that, and kind of just hiding a lot of that away. And I think part of it has to do with, you know, when you have more eyes on you, when you have more people looking at you, you know, you're more likely to experience those forms of attack, because different people are out here for different reasons. Different people have different intentions. Some people are really lost. They don't know who they are. Some people are feeling really bad about themselves and want to take other people down with them. There's a million things that can be going on. And so I used to be kind of naive, or, you know, just talking too much, oversharing, talking about things before they're ready, and kind of sabotaging different opportunities in my life. And so these things, again, you know, it's not necessarily intentional. None of these things are necessarily intentional. This is a very catalytic and intense time when a lot of shadows are coming up. A lot of collective shadow work is happening right now. And that's why with things like social media, especially Instagram, to me feels like this kind of collective unconscious or collective subconscious. It's like this soup, this primordial soup. And you know, I have noticed that when I'm less engaged on Instagram and less engaged with people who maybe are committed to misunderstanding me, or when I'm around certain groups of people where I feel like people don't quite see me or appreciate me, it's uncomfortable, and it causes me to experience a lot of self-doubt. And when I focus on more positive interactions, and, you know, seeing Instagram more as just like a tool or a means to an end, rather than a place where I connect with my friends, you know, because it's very, what's the word, compromised platform. You know, it's very manipulative, like Facebook, all these social media platforms, algorithms. It's about money. It's about turning the user into a consumer, into a product. And so of course we can't trust those types of interactions there, and should not see that as an end-all be-all, or as a way to really get to know someone. And I also personally believe that Instagram is like the #1 vehicle for psychic and spiritual attack. And I've seen other videos of people on YouTube where they were talking about you know, posting things on social media that they were excited about, opportunities, things they just got, whatever, and then immediately having really dire like repercussions from that. And so, you know, it's like, again, it's not to make anybody paranoid, it's just that there are reasons why we keep certain things to ourselves, and it's not to be sneaky or deceptive. It's just that on an energetic level, on a spiritual level, we don't know everybody's intention. You can know somebody for many years and then find out later that they're not the person that you thought that they were. And, you know, you can't really help other people when you're in a pretty disempowered or low situation in your own life. And so we have to pick our battles, and we have to pick and choose where we are putting our energy and what we're putting our energy into, and who we're putting our energy into, and even who we're around. And I'm very, you know, I'm not necessarily the best at reading people's social cues, or always understanding social situations, but I am good at picking up on energy and reading energy. And a lot of times what people are trying to project is very different than what their actual energy is saying about them. So, you know, the importance of discernment in these times, and this isn't to turn everyone or the world into the enemy. A lot of people are acting unconsciously. A lot of people, you know, many of us are basically operating these scripts, like, has to do with what we learned growing up in our family, our culture, you know, society, our adult life experiences, traumas that we have suffered. You know, there's many things that go into making us the way that we are, and it's our job to learn how to navigate the world in a place that is edifying to us, to who we are. You know, and the more that people are living from their own frequency and being who they are and being authentic, the less of a need we even have for competition, because you know, when you're competing with someone, it's because, you know, healthy competition is good. Healthy competition is good, and there's a level of respect that's involved in healthy competition. Healthy competition makes us better. But then there's competition just for the sake of competition, or to tear other people down. And when we're trying to tear down other people, it is because we have an insecurity in ourselves. Like, if we're trying to tear somebody down, it's because we feel that we're not good enough, and so we have to tear down somebody else because we feel like they're making us look a certain type of way, if that makes sense. You know, if you're trying to tear down somebody else, it's because there is some level of lack or insecurity within yourself. Because when you love yourself and you're empowered in who you are, and you know who you are, and you know your abilities and your strengths and your talents, then there's no need to be insecure by other people also being strong and talented and whatever. So, you know, that's why it's important for people to spend some time alone, to spend some time in introspection. And we've had a lot of time over the last couple of years, and you know, the last couple of years was very difficult for me, and I saw how I was playing into these certain scenarios and certain situations, and I've had to do a lot to address my own energy and to address my own role in some of these situations. It's like I would said in another video, you know, you have to focus on cleaning up your own side of the street. You're not responsible for other people's behavior, and you can't control other people's opinions or perceptions of you. All you can do is focus on cleaning up your own house and cleaning up your own side of the street. And then, your actions will show for themselves. Your actions will show for themselves. Like, say you have two people living across the street from each other, they're neighbors, right? And the one person is always complaining about the neighbor across the street. And the person who's always complaining has a trashy house, and it's falling apart, and it's all in shambles, and they never clean up the trash in their yard, and the house across the street looks nice, and it looks well taken care of, and the neighbors are always friendly. You have to pay attention to what people are showing you versus what people are saying. You have to look at people's actions over people's words, because people could say anything. People can promise you the world, but only their actions will tell you. And yeah, a lot of the people, when I look back at my life and I think about different people who I felt, taken advantage of or used by, they're all really smooth talkers, they're all really good at putting on this certain front to get what they wanted. But then, even though they were so nice and friendly in these interactions, I would always take away from the interaction this feeling that something had been taken from me, or that I had been violated some way, and I didn't really understand what it was that the person had done to make me feel this way, but intuitively it just felt off. And then I would think back and I would see the person, and then oh, this person's so nice, I like being around them. And then, that feeling that something was off, that between their actions and their words, something wasn't matching, and it was setting off these alarms. And when I was younger, I tended to listen to these other people over listening to my intuition. That's how I lost my tooth, literally. It's a really long saga about that tooth, and it was very traumatizing. Several years, and losing the tooth and all of these things, and I still have a lot of dental work that I have to get done. It's very daunting for me because of the different traumatic situations that I've experienced with doctors and dentists and things like that. But it's all to say, that there's real consequences to listening to these people. When you have people that are in your life and you consistently feel like something is off, that needs to be addressed, and that needs to be figured out. And sometimes we're just not compatible with people, and sometimes the problem might be our personal issue. It might be something that we're projecting. So we need to, introspect and examine, where is this feeling coming from? What is this? Is this an intuition? Am I triggered by this person because they're bringing up some sort of insecurity in me? What is going on here? And the more that you do that, and the more that you trust, and the more that you learn to be okay with the times that you're more alone, and what you can learn through those times, this is how we build our strength. And this is also how we figure out who we are and what it is that we want, because we do live in this culture that's very codependent, and people who want to spend more time alone, or who want to do who do things differently, or maybe are more introverted, more private, are viewed as being weird and problematic or something. But just because something is socially accepted or encouraged or enforced doesn't mean that it's healthy behavior. And just because something is not socially popular does not mean that it's wrong. It's a time for people to start learning to think for themselves more, and think for themselves again, because the social media sort of hive mind culture that's being created is really toxic. The social policing, the forced conformity, the triangulation, gaslighting, all of these things that are happening, not, that are happening societally, systemically, socially. These things need to be examined. And, for me, it's like I feel like I've had to learn pretty much everything the hard way. I'm the oldest in my child, the oldest child in my family, and came from a background with a lot of trauma and abuse on both sides, as well as a lot of poverty. And it's been a lot to bear at times. It's been a heavy burden to bear, but there are certain things that I have learned, and there are certain lessons that I'm taking with me into this next chapter. And I'm at this point in my life where I'm looking back on a lot of events from my earlier life and really seeing where I went wrong. And a lot of the times was when I was listening to other people and not following my own intuition. When I was trying to fit in, and mostly me trying to fit in was me being like way overly too nice and just being a people pleaser, and kind of letting people walk on me and feeling disrespected, growing really resentful of it, distancing myself over and over and over. So I've created distance between myself and a lot of people. And this is not to say that, I generally have love for all of those people, and I want, I wish them all the best, and I want them to do well, but I want them to do well away from me, if that makes sense. I unconsciously took on a lot of guilt and weight and burdens for other people in this lifetime, and I'm at this point where I just can't take on anymore, and I'm actually dropping a lot of things and a lot of burdens from the past so that I can move into this new chapter and this new cycle. And a big part of that has been learning discernment and learning how to have boundaries, and learning that not everybody needs to know everything that I'm doing. Not everybody deserves to know everything that I'm doing. Not everybody's in a position to know what I'm doing, and that it's really up to me to make those decisions. I don't have to allow people to weaponize my own empathy against me or weaponize my own emotions against me. I know who I am. I know what I've been through. I know what my talents, gifts, and abilities are. I also know what my weaknesses are, and I know my shadow very well. And when you do these things, when you do this level of self-work within yourself, and I'm not the only one out here who's doing this. Many people have been doing this since COVID, in a way where a lot of people are going through spiritual awakening and shifts in their consciousness and having more spiritual abilities turned back on again. And the more that you do that, it's like you become more and more invincible to these attacks. And I do still deal with attacks, and then some of it becomes internal, because it goes from feeling the judgments of others to us personalizing them, taking that on ourselves. And so it's a continual process of clearing our energy, being accountable, pulling our own boundaries, all this. It's a continual process, like a filtering system. But the more that you do it, the easier it becomes, and the easier it becomes to keep the energies clear, the thoughts clear, and to just really know and trust and believe in those messages, which is our higher self and our intuition that's trying to guide us. And then knowing, who those friends and allies are, knowing the difference between, fake friends and supporters, and knowing the difference between friendship and acquaintanceship, knowing the difference between, reciprocal relationships and transactional relationships, and understanding how invested other people are and how much we should invest. Understanding that there are a lot of people out there who are going to continue to play both sides. There are a lot of people out there that are going to continue to misunderstand you or undermine you. There are people out there who will be envious of you, but there are also people out there who will support you, who want to support you. There are people who are looking for you specifically. And the more that we drop the pretenses and drop the bullshit and drop the burdens that aren't ours to carry and just start walking in our own truth and vibrating in our, you know, own zone, like staying in our own lane, those people who are meant to be in our lives, who we can collaborate with and work with and create with, those people will naturally gravitate towards us. And I had said this in a different video. It was something I was reading on Reddit. I don't remember which subreddit it was, but this person was sorry. This person was talking about their healing journey and how the whole process of healing just has felt like shedding off different layers that weren't really the self. And so when we're in the healing process, like, we're not becoming something new, we're becoming who we are under all the layers of trauma, under all the layers of societal conditioning, under all the guilt, under all the shame that we were made to feel for being ourselves in the first place, and how we, you know, how we accrued those damages and those debts. And in some cases it's very much ancestral, it's very much generational. And so we are at a very pivotal time in our world, in this country, where we're healing many lifetimes, many lineages of abuse, trauma, and karma. So I guess I'm going to end the video there. My phone, my battery's really low, and you know, I just wanted to put out a video because, like I said, I've really been trying to get out more videos to you guys, but I've had a lot of delays. I started a new job, and you know, I'm just trying to get everything balanced between my social life, my work life, you know, my finances, my stability, and everything like that. And it's been really, you know, it's been a lot over the last couple years. It's been like one step forward, 10 steps back, and dealing with a lot of towers, a lot of upheaval, and a lot of chaos. And I'm balancing everything out in my life, but it's taking me a while to get all the pieces together. So thank you for your patience with me, and you know, I really appreciate everyone who is supporting, and especially those of you who, you know, watch the end. Thank you so much. I ask that you would like this video, and please subscribe if you enjoy my content, and stay tuned, there's more to come. You know, the best is on its way. We're breaking free from a lot of bullshit and a lot of chains of the past, and the more that we break out of these past paradigms that we have been stuck in, sometimes for lifetimes, centuries, generations, we're basically dropping those old negative timelines, and we're allowing space for totally new possibilities to enter. And so, you know, this is a time to dream big and also take action, but a lot that's possible at this time, as things are crumbling and there is all this upheaval and there is all this chaos. There's also new levels of possibility that come along with it. And so it's really up to us to do the work, to be loving, and to, you know, to heal. It's our job to heal ourselves. No one's gonna save you, and you're not responsible to save anyone else. You're not here to save anyone else, you're here to save yourself. And by doing that healing work, not only are you healing yourself, your family line, past, present, future, but you're also helping to heal the world, and you're helping to inspire others to heal. So just keep going and believe in yourself, and stay prayed up, blessed up, stay protected up, be discerning, keep your plans to yourself, build in silence, and just trust the process. Alright, thank you so much. Please like and subscribe. Until next time.